the future is only perceived based on the cultural narrative.
Right.
And nobody looks at this.
Mm.
So the cultural narrative, right? So some cultures are early cultures, right? So UAE has moved very, very fast, right? From all these project managers to now, the UAE culture is very simple, right? They have low attention rate.
Yeah.
But they want to have you there and they want to learn to do it themselves. They will find a way how to do business and then they do it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So they are the fast adapters that they want to do trade with, right?
Right.
The US is on their culture very different. That means
Yeah.
they need to digest the story for a period of time before it settles in their mind to be real.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I have these AI. I have like 8 pillars of AI.
Yes.
Right, the eight disciplines of AI. Everybody talks about one discipline, right? And then you have the mega trends, right? So
yeah,
and you are the one that takes then the one version and segments it out. How will it affect society, environment, workforce, right? So you are creating that important part of the storyline for them to envision how it could impact them, right? And then you have your daughter, which doesn't have the competencies that you have,
yeah,
that might build her abilities, but she's a shaper, right? So
yeah.
she is shaping from her view how the world can be. You are shaping a vision how the world should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that aspect, you have these 3 pillars
Yeah.
that are combined together. And if you don't see the difference in them, you can mix them very fast into one, right?
Right. Right. You're
Go ahead, you
absolutely
wanted to
right.
say something.
No. I said, what a beautiful insight. And what I have been doing up to now, I've been doing a lot of it intuitively, but you have given me a vision of science and how you would approach strategy and the 8 elements of AI and how it comes together. And honestly, I was just literally doing it intuitively. I'm not as knowledgeable.
No,
But I
but
have different
see
skills. Yeah.
but see, it's not about the knowledge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about, so I mean, like, see, you can have the technology of building a Bluetooth.
Yeah.
You don't have to understand Bluetooth.
Correct.
You then
Yes.
tell the storyline on how Bluetooth can be enabled, how it can connect, how it
Yeah.
can drive the digital world in manufacturing, all of this, right? So you are creating a storyline for people to comprehend what it
Yeah.
includes and what it entails,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A technical guy is not the salesperson. So the salesperson is the one that makes the vision of the grandness, right? That's
Yeah.
where you come in.
And thank you, Henrik. That is exactly how I visualize it, and I shared it with our friend Marshall Goldsmith, who wrote this beautiful foreword.
Yeah.
I would love to have your component also in some way as a strategy. Now, one of them he said,
I will do a graphics for you so you can
perfect.
see
Yeah.
actually the competencies, because see, your daughter is not doing something wrong. She
Yeah.
doesn't have the same capabilities that you have, but she
Yes.
has the abilities, right? And
Yeah.
it's the passion that drives the development of abilities to capabilities,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's in the future, in the key of the future is the ownership,
Yeah.
right?
Got it. I mean, look at what Marshall said here. And he said, consider it a friendly heads up from your future self, urging you to brace for the rapid changes before us, technology and so on. And he says, it's like a metaphorical chairlift. You are coming
Yeah.
from the top. Navigating the future can be as daunting and as conquering to challenging a ski slope. But Voices of the Future serves as a metaphorical chairlift, offering guidance and perspective on the journey ahead. Written in a conversational tone, devoid of technical jargon, it feels akin to receiving insider knowledge from a trusted friend. Straightforward, yet profoundly enlightening. And then he speaks about how we've looked at the ethical piece and then the connecting the dots. And so it's not merely a book, it's a roadmap navigating the uncharted territories of our digital future, inviting readers to partake in the ongoing dialogue and to co-create a more equitable and prosperous world for generations to come. And finally, so and it becomes like a beacon. So just to look at
Wow.
the way that I have put this thing together is I've created an environment of it's colorful, it's a visual. I brought it in a way that this is your friend Gerd Leonard. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a storyteller. He's over there.
Totally. And
So in reality, if you ask him about what AI is, he has no clue.
yeah.
Right. So that's the core element differentiation, right? But that it doesn't matter because that's how it should be, right?
That's right.
But see, the one piece that I just saw you had is actually the implementers.
Yes. I have some implementers here too. So this is my early stages on future technologies. Salim Ismail, you know him. David Schreier, you probably are familiar with him. But you see the kind of we've created it to be friendly. So anywhere you go into the book, whenever you open, 5 minutes you can read an article, and then everyone has this QR code. So from your phone, you take the QR code, and it launches your podcast. Wow. So in one click, you're into the podcast, and so that becomes your digital footprint in this book forever. So next year, you said, Tariq, I've written a new book. I want to make this as part of the thing, and I want to. So your QR code digital signature will just change to the new book. So the book always remains alive. Which is another one of my sort of small inventions. This is Professor Dr. Osama Fayyad from Experiential AI in Boston. He's got about 200-300 AI experts. This guy, Dr. Jerome Glenn, Millennium Group, he's a scenario planner, the big future trends that you talk about. Is Dr. Mark Esposito is a Harvard professor. Lubna is a CEO of a company here. This guy is the head of UAE University and Future University in the UAE, Dr. Saeed Al-Dahri. He's the head of Etisalat. He created Etisalat's Future Co., which is a telco that has become a tech co. And in the last 2 years, he's already acquired scale-up companies, around 12 of them. 3 of them have already become unicorns. And he believes that in the next 5 to 7 years, with the growth path, the tech co in value terms will be bigger than the telco.
Okay.
And it's the world's number one, is the world's most profitable telco that is there. So this is a nice story. This guy is amazing. He talks about tech and biology coming together. And he calls this technological bioscience. He's an inventor and innovator. So this is one group. And then we move on to, you may know her, Xenia Tata from XPRIZE. She was a chief innovation officer. 29 of the world's challenges, the biggest ones, she has led them. How do you do the impossible? She's an implementer. She goes and creates a challenge of let's eliminate poverty, or let's have clean water for everybody, or and that is her challenge. Now it's by definition impossible, but that's what she does. So she spoke about that. This girl, she's in Germany, in Frankfurt, Dr. Abir Haddad. She has set up the Institute of Legal Transformation. She said, we are transforming everything. And she's based in Germany. She's German. But she's saying, we are transforming everything, but the lawyers don't know. The judges don't know how to evaluate. Everything is pre-legal. And people just don't understand it. And so what's the regulatory, what's the governance? What are the policies? What are our guardrails? Very interesting, smart young girl. Then we go into, again, this guy is changing the future of healthcare. His wife died of pancreatic cancer about 3 years ago, and he was very upset in the sense that he said, I have so much power. I know all the technologists. I know all Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic, but I couldn't help her because I didn't have enough processing power. I didn't have enough data. I know I can break it. Then he tried doing it in the US, but guess what? Pharma in the US is really strong. They were blocking him every way, every step of the way. So he's gone to India because he said, I have a lot of data. I have the support of the prime minister, and I'm going to crack the code of cancer because this is my pledge to my wife. Before I die, I will do that. So these are the kinds of stories that we bring in.
Well, what's this innovating women?
Innovation of in his case or generally?
generally, I always thought it's a strange thing. Women in blockchain, women in technology. It's like technology and everything is about competencies. It's not about male and female.
It's not gender,
It's
absolutely.
actually about right. So I was at the annual investment forum. We had this women in blockchain forum, and they invited me in, and I didn't want to participate because I'm like, I know the hardcore blockchain community. There are guys who
Right.
sit in the underwear sweating. There are guys that normally don't come out and really experience life, but they like coding all of this. So
Right.
I'm not sure why we should promote women in a field that they are normally not attracted to,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Just because they're women, it's like it doesn't make sense to me, right?
Yes. But at the moment, it just seems to be a nice trend. Women, we have the Gen Z coming in and all of this kind of stuff. So it has just become a very interesting dynamic. And
Yeah,
we're
but
trying
see
to,
here, this is one thing that we can discuss, right?
yeah.
Beyond all the trends, right? And with it, ethics and values, there's a whole element of things of non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Things we're not allowed to talk about. We're not allowed to talk about climate. We're not allowed to talk about gender. We're not allowed to, right? So all these things, what does it bring the future? It actually limits us in the future because see, we have taken one road on the climate change, on CO2 and how we want to do this. But innovation always comes in when you challenge, okay, we did this, that was the outcome, did that really work, right? So now we have set a path, but we're not allowed to challenge it, right? So that means we have locked our ability to innovate the environment space. Because everybody agrees that that's how it must be. Right. So with all these non-negotiables, we are locking ourselves for any kind of innovation.
Interesting. Very interesting perspective. Yeah.
It's the same thing with AI, as I mentioned before. There's 8 disciplines in AI, and because we in 2017 the transformer created this huge evolution on the machine learning, right? So the other 7 disciplines, there are researchers in it, but there's no money and no attention to it, right? So my pledge is that the other ones are as important. They are just maturing in different waves. But that means that now we all move into one direction and are excited about machine learning, but not realizing it's only one of the fields, but it's not the most important field, So now we are excited about one thing that we think is intelligence, but it is no intelligence. It has no clue what it comes out with in ChatGPT.
I totally agree. I mean, when somebody, one of my guests said hallucinations, I said, they're not hallucinations. You're giving it humanity. They're mistakes. They're errors. It's not a hallucination. Humans can hallucinate, but AI cannot. It doesn't have that capability. It doesn't have that conscience.
And then one thing that I won't discuss for your book for anything, right? The fund of 100 million for AI for UAE, right?
Yeah.
What is the problem that UAE has? They are not getting approved for a server. It's US and China that is approving the server. So they can, it's like Saudi. Saudi invested, I think, 30 billion in AI. But it's hot air ballooning because they are getting a US cloud server. So they don't have a server. All their information they export out. So they don't have any intellectual capital. They're fooling themselves that they do AI. They're selling their own information, right? It's because the US and China decides. So the evolution of AI and quantum takes a very distinct, I would say, inequality. It creates inequality, right? Did that make sense?
It does, and I think China has the data and as the serving power, but US with Taiwan has all the back end, and and that's where the competition is. Absolutely.
So AI is actually not difficult, right? So you have software, Then you have a transformer. Think about a transformer. If you have read the paper, if you read the paper, intention is all you need. That's like the Satoshi paper for AI, right? It's an
Right.
open source paper. Everybody can integrate it, right? It's how look at it like you have one information flow that goes to next information flow that goes to next information flow that goes to next information flow. So the transformer is the first level that they did in ChatGPT, where the information here is scattered with probability at the next level. ChatGPT 1, everybody was excited. ChatGPT 2, with all the information, you have a farmer server down here that captures that information up and down. You do the second transformer, right? So you do the fragmentations of probability that comes down with it. So it gets better and better. Then you get level 3. So today we're at level ChatGPT 4, right? That means just data transformer, data and farms down there. So we think it's very complicated. No, it's actually just transformers. Transformers is open source, but the transformers will not work without the hardware infrastructure, and that is limited. I'm not kidding you. It's a big thing, and nobody realizes it.
Right.
That means you can develop AI, but you would never own your own IP.
Yes.
You cannot do transformers without having data. Well, you need a server to create the data. So you can host the data. The data is hosted somewhere else. So who owns the IP? It's the one who owns the data.
Yes. And who owns the algorithm? And how can that be put together? Yeah.
So from a world perspective, it will divide the world in a more segmentations on who owns the IP and who is the server of the IP, who they capture the information from, right? I have been promoting the last year quite strong to say, guys, the biggest potential we had for the last couple of years, and we didn't do it in blockchain, Web 3.0, because we wanted to make money. Yes. Now we go to AI, and AI needs to learn first and to learn more to get better and better. But we have to, as regulators, say, guys, we have to put a filter in on each side, and one side, Web 3.0. Because the filter is the protection, right? That you own the data, that the data is not exported, that you can earn money on your own data, right? So this has not been promoted very strong, because the interest of the big guys is not that they want you as a free guy.
Yeah, I agree. I sometimes say that 10 to 20 companies have really mastered where AI is going, and they understand it, and there are people like you who get it. Then there may be another 50 to 100 companies who can make money from AI. All the others are just running around trying to catch up, and they are little worker bees almost. And I think this is one of the things we have to grapple with, is that we think we are in the game, but like you said, I think it's separating to a point where we think we are, but we're actually not.
So I made a secret plan in UAE, right? I brought some of the big guys on the table. I've secured 100 million on AI for UAE, right? And I've asked them for 2 billion, right? And because I have the ability to receive 5 servers for them, right? As a professor, I have access to it, and that's my key intent I want to do, right? So so my intention was, we need to do it at 3 levels. One is best practices, how the government applies it, but for them to really do it, one server, they need minimum 400 to 500 million for the next 5 years just to maintain it and build an extra server. Now, I mean, AI is expensive.
Yes.
AI is really expensive. Yes. So today everybody thinks they get it free and everything is nice, right? They get your data because they're growing. Once they're growing, the price increase. Then they have a unique standing point that nobody can say no.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a dangerous thing that people should be aware of, right? So see here, one role that you have in AI, right? When you look at AI, so I can come with all the technical elements, it's coming with the hype cycle and all of this, right? The role that you have, right, is to say, good, for the next 5 years, how do we really envision a life with AI? How
Yes.
should you in the government transform the skills that you get more productivity out of people,
Yeah.
less usage on ChatGPT, and how should a model work effectively within the organization, right?
Mhm.
How do you envision to reskill that many people? Where will you get the money from, right? So should you think about regulating CPU power, right?
Mhm.
So that the CPU power used on UAE should
Mhm.
be taxed by that much. That means the amount of usage of that should be taxed going back to the government so they have a budget to reuse to reskill the people, right?
Mhm.
We don't have a mechanisms of taxing AI,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So these are the discussion points we need to push in a little bit more, right? Because that's the future for UAE, how they apply it, right?
Mhm. Interesting, profound, sir, profound. You are obviously vibrating at a completely different level, and a lot of people don't even understand you have that ability. So amazing, amazing. So
Do you know where it came from?
tell me.
When I was young, I'm still dyslexic, right? I'm double dyslexic, and that means when I'm in big audiences or I need to say names, I don't know the names.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
totally name dyslexic, but I'm also dyslexic with words. I say one thing, but I mean another thing, right? So with
Okay.
day, I would say night, right? So and then when I was very young, I was stuttering a lot, and so they put me into a special school with handicapped children, and I just couldn't communicate. I was frustrated, and I had a German teacher, and he actually took the time to help me to with techniques to overcome my dyslexia.
Mhm.
And he identified for me that my dyslexia is actually my key strength,
Yeah.
right? I see something that nobody else sees. I see patterns in a specific way that nobody can see, right? I
Mhm.
go down to archetypes. I'm very strong in semantics and ontology, how things relate together, in which manner,
Mhm.
categorize and classify for the known to the known to reach the unknown, right? That's how you come forward to trends, right?
Yeah.
Then within that, you do probability and statistics, right? This is just, my universe, but my universe was built because I had a teacher that had the ability to tell me, you know what? Yes, you're special, but it's actually not bad to be special.
Yes, indeed. I mean, one of the things I saw somebody speak about this is some of our biggest weaknesses can actually be converted into our biggest strengths.
Yeah,
The founder of IKEA, he was dyslexic. So is Richard Branson,
yeah.
and many others. And they saw that but then they became extremely creative, entrepreneurial, and they put a different kind of energy and they connect the dots differently. I
Yeah.
connect the dots differently. I was talking to a Japanese guy, one of our guests, last week, and he had exactly the same thing. He sort of so there are, and just to sort of share with you personally that in the last 1 year, I've been collecting this, talking to amazing people like yourself. Every time I do, something shifts inside me, something changes, and if you take the whole 12 months together, I have changed. I have evolved. I have reshaped my brain, and my synaptics are becoming much more. They're moving much faster, and they're much more aligned. They're not all over the place as they were before.
So where do
Uh,
you see yourself with this,
uh, One of the things I talk
with the
about
change
is
you're going through?
the change that I'm going through is I move from the individual, like voice of the future, to voices. So I'm looking at the collective voice. I'm looking at collective consciousness. I'm looking at collective impact, like a symphony, to create that thing. My legacy and how I build myself is to make a difference using all of these elements together. And everybody, I've been speaking to Gerd Leonard, Brett King, all of them have offered their platforms, and we unite that. So for me, it's about creation of abundance, creation of opportunity, so that the world should be a better place to live in. And technology is going to be a great facilitator for us. All of us would potentially have an assistant, an AI, a bot or something or the other, giving us greater productivity. When somebody asks me, will AI replace human beings? And I said, no, I don't think AI will replace human beings. But a human being plus AI, using AI, will replace other human beings. So what we need to do is to find a way to become extremely familiar with, friendly with, and intuitively connect with AI, so that it becomes an integral part of who we are, so that we can produce more and therefore live a better life. I want to change the world. I want to improve I use all of these things for good. So my journey now, Henrik, is to start this platform, this movement, and then grow from here. And then the next voices of the future will be on AI only. Another voices of the future could be on climate only. Or it's not about countries. I think it's about building those special skills. So if we have 50 beautiful voices all in one place talking about the future of AI, I think that energy that will create, just like this conversation times 20, if we do that, we are discovering new thing. And researchers don't do this. I'm a communicator. I'm a storyteller. I'm a connector of dots. So this is how I visualize the future, and hope I can play an important role in that. I become much more humble. I think my wisdom and my learning from this is humility. I always thought I was, but meeting with all of you guys, I am 10 times more. And I understand my vulnerabilities, but I also can focus on my strengths and build from there.
Let me just show you something. I'm just drawing something for you.
Sure.
If you look at it a little bit this way, right? Here you have the hardcore research, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing the themes.
Yeah.
Because I do that detailed, right? You have the specialists in quantum technology and AI, right? Like you have one in your book, right? But this world is hardcore facts, research, real stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then you have the world of the vendors over here, right? So you have the storytellers, but you are at the top of the storytelling. You are the link between this, right?
Yeah.
So you have the vendors like OpenAI and all of this. They tell their story because this is what they want to sell. They sell an even broader future than what they have. Then you have the industry guys, like the government guys, the industry leaders, who are trying to take it and bring it into best practices, industry practices, and leading practices. Then you have the bloggers, the market, who are trying to create a demand and a vision, how it meets in the market, right? And then you have the youth, your daughter down here.
Yeah.
The shapers who don't have the understanding, don't have the capabilities, but they are learning. With passion, they build capabilities. So all of this, your capabilities might be here because you have experience, but it's not to neglect this, because this comes with a different view, right?
Yeah.
Each of these 5 pillars is a different view of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So what will be your role, maybe, right? Maybe your role would be to combine this together in one view, because these ones are bullshitters if they don't get this right.
Yes.
Right? Over here, you have the industries, the companies, the governments, and all of them, right? So they're consuming all this, and in reality, none of us are competing, right? So if you can be the force to combine everybody together to say, okay, guys, easy. You're not competing with him. You're not competing with him. He's a quantum specialist in this field. He's a biorevolutionist in this field, right? And so don't even try to challenge him, because he's a researcher. He is actually in this field, right? So you have this element to it, but saying, let's every time block this and and imported in a way that it can be communicated here, right?
Yeah.
But you are the storyteller that creates a reality view between the real fact research and the vendors. When you hear OpenAI talk about super intelligence, and you go back to me and says, Henrik, what is the real world of AI? And says, okay, AI is systemic AI, which is robotic process optimization. Then you have narrow AI, which is machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
All of this factual, what we can do today. It creates an impact. Everything we go beyond there is a theory.
Mm-hmm.
AGI is a theory.
Yes.
It's a transistor based on a transistor. We're not even that far yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have super intelligence, right? Then you have organic AI. It's all on the plan, or everybody's doing research on it, but it's theoretically, right? There's no factual thing to it. It's storytelling beyond what is factual. Do you understand?
I
Right?
understand.
So
Yeah.
then you can hold the guys like the vendors, OpenAI, when you talk to the governments and all of them saying, guys, let's easy up, right? Because you're fear mongering people, right?
Yeah.
To say, okay, this is reality, this is industry practices, this is best practices, and this is leading practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can combine the communities on saying, okay, we have the market blockers. You and Gerhard can be the ones that say, guys, let's give you some information to feed on, right?
Yeah.
Let's give you something you can do, right? Let them be the voice out for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And there's one additional component in that, and that's some of our human skills, the softer skills, the personal skills. So Rob Capello, he's a New York Philharmonic Orchestra. He's the maestro there. He talks about the future of listening and the power of listening and how we now need to listen in the future. This was our 85-year-old. He talks about the future of peace, Shelpa Tenzin. And he's creating a whole peace building like that he has behind him on the foothills of the Himalayas, and this would be a not-for-profit environment basically to build the future. And so these are just some people in there. By the way, this guy Thomas Lundgren, he's Swedish. He's also dyslexic, and he talks about that. So and how he left school and joined IKEA, and then he moved from there. So, and today he's a very, very successful business person. And then these are just general financial and stuff like that. The other ones, which I think you'll find very interesting, she has 5 million followers, and she's coming. He is changing the digital world of India in terms of digital coaching. This guy is for Forbes and things like that in the US. She's broken 10 Guinness Book of World Records. She's climbed every mountain, swum everything, and she does it for charity and for peace. So we need this kind. This guy lost his legs when he was 20. Today he's 30, and he speaks about the future of hope. So we're talking about hope, because hope is something. She pulls the whole media elements together, and this is networking. She's our speaker bureau here, the head. So I'm just sharing these kinds of people. Oh, she's the #1 matchmaker, millionaire matchmaker in Dubai. She talks about the future of matchmaking. And initially, she was trying to position herself as the future of love. And I said, this is bullshit, Christiana, because there's no love in what you're talking about. It's about money. I said, I'm single. I'm Exhibit A. Find me a partner. And she wanted to know my net worth before I qualify. So I said, what about love? What about authenticity? What about humanity? What about loyalty? What about, the real core things? And in the end, she said, she now was rethinking, and she said, no, I'm going to find somebody for you. And I said, thank you very much. But I think
see, that's your role, right? That's your role.
Yeah.
Because see, all of them down here, they're looking for something, a message to carry out, but they need a platform of yours where you can take this out here. Because see, if you would ask me the future of peace, I would say BS. If you ask me the future of hope, I would say BS, right? But it's actually not really BS, right? It's what the link between people, how they perceive it, and the real world, right? Because there's no future of peace, because peace is must have a chaos to have peace. You cannot have peace all the time. We live in this conundrum that we must have peace and love all the time. Peace and love only exist because we have war. That's why we
Yeah.
seek peace.
Yeah, I know, but we can diminish it
Right?
to a point where it doesn't, make a mess of things, as we can see sometimes in our
Now,
world.
see here,
Yeah.
peace is like democracy. If we don't renew it consistently, it does
Yeah.
not exist. If
Yeah.
your daughter has experienced peace and the
Yeah.
next generations has experienced peace, right? Then they don't appreciate peace. If you don't fight for peace, peace is a conscious decision. You decide to have harmony.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's a decision, right? But it's only a decision because you had the choice. If the choice is between these two things, if it's not in your experience, you don't take the choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that too easy put?
No, no, no. It's a philosophical answer. It's a very interesting philosophical answer, and I think one of the greatest disciplines of the future will be philosophy.
I believe so too.
Because, and somebody asked me yesterday, I was doing a keynote yesterday, and he said, why is philosophy so important? I said, we've been too busy and we've been trained to answer questions. Philosophy is asking for, and looking for solutions. Philosophy is asking the big questions. Philosophy is interrogating, what the art of the possible. And the great Greek philosophers who sat there thinking about possibilities and asking great questions. And I said that today's education system, why don't we have an exam which, rather than asking for answers to a question, why doesn't it say, okay, write the 5 best questions you can have on this issue? And that gets into prompt engineering and all this kind of stuff.
But
Here
maybe you could,
yeah.
But maybe you can take the lead on something, right? Because see, to bring people together in a forum to discuss, right? Futurists in the forum to discuss.
Yeah.
You already know me. I'm a hardcore guy.
Yeah.
I'm not interested to listen to bullshitters, but I'm interested to listen in a core room to say, okay, AI, and I'm not interested. I'm interested to have Gerhard in there and you in there, and to discuss these topics. But I'm not interested, where we discuss. Where is it where we are, and what are the topics that we need to cover that nobody covers, right? We talk about AI, the automation of intelligence, but the philosophical question is, we don't even know what intelligence is. We cannot even know, we don't know where our thoughts originate from. We don't know how our thoughts are based. We build AI based on a neural network. That's how the transformers are built. But we still don't understand. We built something on a pattern of ours, but we don't understand our own pattern. My reality of seeing you is on a stage in my brain. How I experience, right?
Yeah.
And we go down and says, okay, now we're building something that is impacting us. And just going through the hardcore science to say, where is it moving? And then taking the philosophical line and then deciding with you and Gerhard and all these other guys on a big store table where we say, okay, what are the topics that we need to push that nobody covers? Because the vendors are pushing their stories, right?
Yeah.
And all of them that look at ChatGPT cover this story. But what are the stories that we should cover to create a better society and all these elements, and talk about topics that are relevant that nobody discusses, right? Look at the simple topics in AI that nobody focuses on. Capitalism works very well in China, works very well in Russia. It doesn't work in Europe at all. Democracy works there, right? So the people get poorer and poorer and poorer. And then you say, but which effect will AI have on this, right? Well, the more AI they use, the less neural connections do they create. Which effect will that have on humans? We will have more depression, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So if we don't sit in a room and we don't discuss this and come to conclusions on why is it and what conclude, because now we're just spinballing, right? But having a consensus on saying what are the agendas that we should drive and why is it we should drive it, right? And what, because taking accountability for what we are looking for. I'm not a storyteller, right? I'm the guy that in the room will be together with you, and I will help you, and I will enable you to carry the message. I'm not interested to do the table dance. I'm not a good table dancer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that, right? I've initiated the digitalization and the industry 4.0. I'm always moving into the next frontier, right?
Yeah.
I'm announcing next month the hype cycle on quantum technology. I mean, that's like far advanced, right? But that's my, I like to be in a room where I'm not interested to be disturbed by people who don't know, but I want to invite people like you guys in, because you carry the story out, you shape the story.
Yeah.
Right. But you
Yeah.
shape
Yeah.
also the reality to say, okay, it's as a open source, we love you guys, we love you guys, but we have to be realistic, guys, right?
Yeah.
If you don't push this agenda, nobody's saying it.
Interesting.
Don't
Let's
you think so?
yes, I'm thinking very hard right now. My brain is going all over the place, and it's extremely exciting. I think we need a follow-up session, and really, I'm happy to be part of that platform that you just
We
discussed
need
as a
somebody to
storyteller.
take, we need
Yeah.
to have somebody to take the lead, right? Because
Yeah.
futurist becomes like a slogan that everybody becomes a futurist, right?
Yes,
But
exactly.
futurist is a discipline, right?
Yeah.
A discipline that consists of 4 key areas, right?
Yeah.
I am a strategist futurist, so I actually do the science around it. Then you have a specialist that is in quantum, or right, and they're not interested in the storyline, they're interested in digging deep, right?
Yeah.
And these people you want on the table because you carry the story. It's like you are in the Middle Ages, the storytellers that go from city to city
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to shape the mindset and the
Yeah.
future and the feelings. You create the emotional layers of people
Yeah.
on how they see the future. Gerhard always says we should be positive about the future, right?
Yes.
But when you hear the vendors, they're fear mongering because
Yes.
the fear pushes you to buy something, right?
Yeah.
You are pushing a positive story, right? But what you miss, you miss you miss the gun where you can say, okay, this is realistic and this is futuristic.
Right.
It means there's no reality to it and we don't know. But the future, they say it could be this, but it could be all of this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. An old saying is things we know, and things we know, we don't know. And things we don't know, we don't know. And a lot of part of our future, part of it we can talk through trends, but then we get into this gray space and open space, and that's where a lot of the future is going to reside. And I think we need to get on a trajectory. We need to get on some level of wisdom. And I want to have a wisdom council, for example. And the wisdom council to me, and I was talking to, I mean, the indigenous population, one of the ladies who heads that, her name is Queen Diambi from Congo. 6% of the indigenous population look after 85% of the biodiversity in the world. 6%.
Wow.
So we don't look after them, and they're poor, but they have this sort of inner knowledge, intuitive knowledge, which we could find very, very useful as we look into the future. So I'm bringing in that kind of piece and part of thinking. So I want wisdom, and as an integral part of this process, you need science and technology, you need humanity, but you also need wisdom of sorts. So last question, really, and that is 100th birthday. Let's get into a time machine and get to your 100th birthday. You're at halftime right now. Lots to do, lots to live. What would that show? What would that be for you? What do you see outside?
I think the future looks bright, very much so, right?
I think so too.
I think that the core ability of human beings is our ability to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Adaptability plus skills and expertise creates capabilities, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Capabilities combined with robots, systems, all of this creates competencies.
Yeah.
Competencies is what companies compete at, but competencies you cannot model, right? So at the core thing of all the futuristic trends is always, that's why I'm saying the center of all of this is the human, because the human has the ability to adapt, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been at the advisory board for AI Act of the European Union for the last 5 years, I think, right? They have this clip card where they always pull me in, right? And
yeah,
my big regret there is that with the digitalization I did, my proposal was that we should not have people under 16 attached to social media, right? We didn't know better, so we didn't implement it. And today, the consequence of that is that you are responsible to manage your children, how they manage that. That's a huge challenge on families, and parents are breaking on that, right? Now, the next wave of AI is coming, and we are just letting it free, right? And my proposal for the European AI Act was saying we should restrict anybody under 21 for ChatGPT.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
why should we do that? Because part of being human, the last part of human, is where you create your neural network, you make mistakes, you interact with other people, you explore and discover, you question things, right? And in failing, you create an ability to understand, right? So as a human being, when we see pattern, we always create a model of understanding, right? And that model of understanding creates on how I behave to the world around and how I question things. It cannot be that humans will be an executor of ChatGPT and out, right? I was disgusted. I was reviewing a book 3 weeks ago, The Future of Work, with a couple of guys, and I didn't do it publicly, but I read the book actually, and I was promoting it with the authors together, and I was actually disgusted to see that none of the authors have read the book. So after that call, these 30 minutes, I told them, guys, you've just done a ChatGPT book, right? I says, I'm actually really disgusted, right? You did not take the time to either read what you did yourself, you just corrected it. You did not take the time to rethink the model of the future of work, right? I'm actually disgusted. They are a consultant company, right? And I told them, I expect more from you, right? You are the guys that should advise. You are the guys that should think and rethink.
And this is where Voices of the Future that I've done is every single word is authentic. Every single word is written. And we are only using ChatGPT to take our authentic collection of words to be able to reorganize. That's it.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
100%. Henrik, I've got to go. I have an important hard stop in a couple of minutes. Can I have a few pictures of yours, please, that you'd like us to
I will send you a picture. I will send you the
diagram you said you will make.
I will send the diagram on the futurist that you can have this for yourself to think about. I will send you the megatrends, the 77 megatrends from 2008.
The one that you make,
strategy. It has not changed. No.
Wow.
The 77 megatrends.
Yes.
And then how the industry 4.0 emerges in evolutionary stages. Right. So until 2050, not one single thing has changed since 2008.
Okay. Now,
and you know why?
Amazing.
It's actually built on real stuff.
Right.
I'm doing with university these calculations every year twice.
Right.
And they have not changed.
Amazing.
So what does it tell you? When megatrends collide, they have a certain aspect on how they collide and how they are moving out, right? This is what we're calculating. So AI will affect the bio-revolution. AI will affect the consumer revolution, the fusion revolution, the reality revolution, but they're merging in certain sequences to each other, right? And that's the beauty of it. Once you know it, it's like a pattern you can recognize it comes, right? I leave you to it. I will send you some stuff. What else do you need from me?
Anything that'll help to shape this, I'll write a beautiful piece on this conversation that we just had. So a few pictures, a diagram, anything that you're happy about, proud of, etc. So I want to humanize you, and that's about it. And maybe a follow-on conversation next week once I have put this together, You look at it and
Yeah.
give me the shape and how you feel
Yeah.
before we include it.
So one thing I'm just going to give you as a gift, right?
Thank you.
I think there's one area that few people are looking at, but it's actually really important in terms of how people see and adopt the future, right? I'm
Right.
Nordic. Because I'm Nordic, I come from the regions, Denmark. We are the poorest language of all in the world. That means we don't have a word for thank you. We don't have a word for please. We don't have a word for excuse me. We have very few words to express things. That's why when you look at Danish people, people see me as direct and passive aggressive. But it's part of the Danish nature because you have few words, right? So when you go through the culture things, right, on how people perceive something that is given to them, the future is only perceived based on the cultural narrative.
Right.
And nobody looks at this. So the cultural narrative, right? So some cultures are early cultures, right? So UAE has moved very, very fast, right? From all these project managers to now, the UAE culture is very simple, right? They have low attention rate.
Yeah.
But they want to have you there and they want to learn to do it themselves. They will find a way how to do business and then they do it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So they are the fast adapters that they want to do trade with, right?
Right.
The US is on their culture very different. That means they need to digest the story for a period of time before it settles in their mind to be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understood. Right. Chinese in that has, right, you can go through it. I'm not going to use more time on that, right? But I'm just giving you that. Nobody is really coming out with that, and that's a masterpiece, I think.
Brilliant. Let's share that. Let's connect next week with this base core information and article, and we'll take it from there. Henrik, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Super. Bye-bye. Bye.